This is Sneaker Gears. My name is Levi. I am on my way to the gym to finish up testing my top 5 shoes for 2022 and honestly early 2023 here. Yeah, let's jump right in. All right, thanks for joining in. Before we get to the gym, I do want to give an honorable mention to maybe not a top 5, but definitely a top 6. And this is one I do want to do a full review on. This is a shoe that actually should be the Zion 2. Funny enough, it's actually the Del Don, which is a WNBA player. A lot of folks don't know. And her shoe in the last few years has been amazing, even if it's officially not been her shoe until right now. So the Del Don uses the exact same setup as the Zion 1, which is a full-length Air Strobel, which we got in the PG line, plus a 4-foot zoom unit. This thing is comfortable. It is way better containment, way better materials than the Zion 1, way better traction. And if you're wondering why is it not in the top 5, it's purely because the top 5 are either more cushioned, have better traction, or even more support. But you're really not going to go wrong, especially for the price. I have a feeling these are going to keep dropping in value, unfortunately, being a WNBA player. But this is something, the Del Dons, if you can get a pair, get them in your size. Obviously, as men's sizes, it's a little harder to get. I had to get a 13, and I was able to find mine, thankfully. Awesome shoes. I'll try to have a full review coming up later. All right, number 5, KD15. It is the best value for the money you are going to get as far as the cushion. The KD15 with full-length Zoom Strobel Cushlon is unbelievable. It's lighter than last year, closer to the court. I think it's a better overall compromise. It is way more supportive, way better traction. I got 2 pairs of the KD14s, which are more comfortable, but I think the KD15 is just a better balance. The only thing I don't like about it, and this is with my foot, it is wide foot friendly, which is awesome, but it does have some heel slippage. And again, that is dependent on your foot shape. So for me, it wasn't enough to get a second pair. I can still do a breakdown and a full review on those. But the KD15, for the cushion, for the money, you're not going to beat it. All right, just getting back. Got about 200 shots up. Number 4 is the Kyrie Infinity, or Kyrie 8. I don't know what they're calling it. Last year's model. I have a full review on it. Honestly, it's probably the best balanced shoe you're going to get in the market. It has the support. It has the optimal cushion. It has the traction. The Kyrie Infinity is the best Kyrie shoe. And if you're a guard, one of the best shoes you're going to get. It is better than the Dame 8s. It is better than the Curries as far as having enough cushion but still having the support and the traction. Check out my review on it. I got 2 pairs of those. Now again, if I need more cushion, I'm going to a couple of these other shoes, but the Kyrie is awesome. Huge note, it does run narrow. Go a half size up if you think you have a wide foot at all, especially as you're hooping. Your foot's going to splay, it's going to get wider, you're going to need it. All right, number 3, which last year's was number 1, is the Nike GT Cut 2. It is better than every way than the original GT Cut. If you guys really wanted that shoe, don't worry. Get the GT Cut 2. Better traction, more durable, cushion's amazing. I'll have a full review if you guys check out my Instagram. I did show how you can actually combo it with the Metcon Turbo 2 for a little bit more cushion if you need it, or make it a little bit more stable. So it's a nice combo. Have a workout shoe and a basketball shoe. The only reason it's not higher on the list, specifically for me, 2 things. The 2 shoes better than it, just have more cushion. And then Also, it's a little bit narrow. So for me as a wide footer, I do have 2 pairs already. So I enjoy it. I have a 12.5 and a 13. The 13s fit better. The 12.5s are great for everything except full court runs. So as my foot expands, it's just not wide enough. But man, they are still my go-to shoe. Number 2 and number 1 have a little bit more cushion, a little bit more pop. One's a little bit lighter. So they're different. They could be better for you. I really do need to break it down, but the GT cuts really are kind of the next generation Kobe shoe. I have not tried the Way of Wades, either the All City or the Way of Wade 9s. Both I've heard really good things, and potentially maybe either one of those would be in the top 5. So I definitely got to get a pair of those. If you guys have any connections, send them my way. I would love to do a review on them. But number 3 is a GT Cut 2. Back to the studio or studio for number 2 and number 1. And number 2 for the best shoe of 2023 here early on is the LeBron 20. This thing is such a beast. And one, this isn't like any other LeBron. This is probably the lightest LeBron to date, 20 years in the making. This is a low top. This definitely feels like something Kobe would have worn. Even AD is wearing the LeBrons, and he usually wears Kobe, so I think that says something. AD, Anthony Davis, LeBron's teammate in the Lakers. Now, how does this feel? And I guess the best answer to that is they feel how these look. These giant air units, Zoom Max in the forefoot. This looks like it has so much cushion, and the LeBron 19 was a max supportive, and it had a lot of cushion, but it wasn't anywhere near as bouncy or soft as you thought it would be. This is like the KDs, except probably twice the amount of foam. You definitely feel way more kind of mushy. It's super comfortable. This is one of the most comfortable shoes I've worn today. This is very similar to the LeBron 18, except more refined. So you don't get all that super support that you got from the 19. They kind of toned it down, so you're getting a compromise, which makes this so on point. You're not riding so high off the court like on those giant Zoom Max air units, and you're also not feeling like there's so much cushion where you don't feel quick. But let's get into the fit. So normally I am a 12.5 or a 12 wide. So if I go up half a size, it's either that 12.5 or generally I'm doing a 13 on a lot of these shoes. I was able to go my true size 12.5 in this, but it does come with your standard kind of ortho-lite insole, which is fairly thick. So if you have a wide foot, what I did is I took the insole out of the Nike Zoom Turbo Turbo Next, and that actually comes with this ZoomX insole that's really thin, so it's actually a little bit more comfortable. It allows my foot to sit just a little bit lower in the shoe, and I have a little bit more, I guess, room for my girth, for the height of my toe box. So that insole makes this fit perfect. If you are not able to get a thinner insole, you definitely want to go maybe up that half size. This is going to stretch a little bit more out of the box. So if you try this on in store, you are going to have a little bit more room, a little bit more give, but the fit on this has been so nice, even over obviously the GT cuts, which is why I rank these a little bit higher. This also gives me that max cushion without feeling like I'm so high off the court, like on something like your GT jumps, which you feel like you're on this massive trampoline, or the LeBron 19s. So the cushion on this just feels way more balanced with being a max cushion shoe. And then on top of that, the support, even though it's a low top and you might feel like, hey, I'm not comfortable in those, it's such a wide, stable base. Hopefully you guys can see the outrigger on here, which comes out really nice. It's a flat bottom, so you can kind of see what we're working with here. It's super stable. You actually have sphere, or just almost like a memory foam cushion all throughout the insole of the shoe, which just allows this to really cup around your heel. You don't have that heel slippage like you have in the KD 15. So fit, Support is really nice. Even though it's not the most supportive, it's still really confidence inspiring. So obviously, unless you land on someone's foot, and that's another story, you're going to be good here. And we talked about the cushion already. The traction is just another solid component. You can just see you have a lot of that kind of fingerprint style, a la your Kobe 9. Not exactly, of course, but it's just going all the directions. It's firm. It's not so soft where you feel like you can't use this outdoors at all. Although for a $200 shoe, I wouldn't recommend going outdoors, but this is something that's definitely going to last you a long time. I've worn these outdoors, indoors. I love them so much. This is one I definitely have been thinking about getting a second pair, but I haven't got a second pair yet because I do have 2 pairs of the #1 shoe, and I have able to get quite a few other shoes I'm trying to get reviews done on now, but this is definitely top 2 and might be the best shoe for you. And #1, you can probably see it behind me there, the Jordan 37. This beast of a shoe. This is the high top. I got the low top behind me, you can kind of see right here. And honestly, since the Jordan 29, I would say in general, the low tops have been better performing shoes, not just for style, not just for preference, but actually the better performing shoe. But with the 37, you're not getting too much of a jump from an increase of performance from the lows from the highs. So I'm just going to stay with the highs for now. They have a super thin Leno weave upper. Let's see if you can see how thin they are. Those are my fingers. You guys can see them moving there. Yeah, it's super thin. This is the shoe that one of the Celtics players, his foot just burst through it. So I did not have high hopes. This is so thin, coming from the Jordan 36, where that had almost no support, even though really fun to play in. I knew they were going to increase the support on this because the 35s were kind of way overdone on the support. So ideally, hopefully this is a nice compromise. You get the lightweight from the 36s, you get some support from the 35s, and honestly, yeah, they did it. They did it. This is probably the best Jordan I've ever played in. This feels as light as something like the Jordan 29. This has that carbon fiber plate. So this is, I'm not sure what they're calling it this year, but I know it used to be your propel plate, your jump plate. This really pushes you forward. You feel like it's launching you. Now, it's not as aggressive as some of the shoes in the past. I think the 34 had probably the most aggressive I felt, where you just feel like it is launching you. So that does put some tension on your Achilles and can put more tension on your body, because essentially it's pushing you to do more than what maybe you want to do. So depending who you are, maybe you like the more natural feel of the LeBrons. But talking about fit, this runs narrow. I had to do a straight 13 out of the box. I was able to do a 12.5 on the lows, and that actually fits really nicely. So this upper does have a lot of give to it. You do have to mold it and let it heat up, but the actual footbed is narrow. Tried a 12 in store and I'm like, holy cow, there's no way that fits. Lengthwise, it is going to feel a little bit long. I want to give you guys kind of just for instance. You can just see how much taller that is. That's a 13 and that's a 12.5. So yeah, they do run big, meaning if you have a wide foot, you may have some extra toe space there, or if you have a wide foot, maybe you do want to stick with the lows because that did have a little bit more give for your midfoot as well as your toe box. So just to give you guys a head up, I did a 13 on these. I was able to do 12.5 on both the LeBrons and a 12.5 on the lows. Moving on to the support, I was shocked how much this heel cup, which rises up and kind of holds the foam, this where you sit in this kind of rand that comes around where this stitching is doing a little bit more than you would think versus just the Leno weave. And you can see how that stitching goes all the way around. You can kind of see this. That support combined with that carbon fiber shank, no matter what I did and people were trying to cross me up, I was able to take hard lateral steps. I was able to take hard jabs on offense, and I always felt so planted. this has been my go-to shoe, and now actually the low has been my go-to shoe, where this is the only shoe I want to wear, but I do have to be conscious. This does put a little extra fatigue on my Achilles, but a little extra fatigue on maybe my lower back. I've had a few users say, hey, they love the shoe, but their body feels like it's taking a little bit more of a beating, even though that's not the cushion's fault. So working our way down to the cushion, this has a giant, I think it's double stacked Zoom Air unit in the forefoot underneath, as well as a Zoom Strobel on the top. And I'm actually going to take out the insole here just so I can verify. Yep. And you guys probably can't see, well, maybe you can. You can see the Zoom unit way down there. So you're literally right on top of the Zoom unit, and there's another Zoom unit underneath that. This thing is bouncy. This thing is propelling you forward. It feels incredible. It feels light. It's pushing you. The lockdown and fit is incredible, both on the highs and the lows. Really, the only thing you can talk about now is the traction, which is very good, but it's not anything to write home about. This isn't a traction that's been like squeaking and just been crazy awesome, but it's been good. I think I would still rate it a little bit better than LeBron's, and that's playing on multiple different courts. Maybe it's not quite as good as the KD15s or their GT cuts, but one nice thing about this, it is a super hard compound. I can definitely see this being used outdoor without any issue. Hopefully you guys can hear me scratching it. It is a hard compound that feels like this is going to last a full season, but that upper I would have more concern than the outsole. But Jordan 37s have been by far the best shoe, and what's crazy is the last shoe that people respect as a Jordan they're going to wear is the Jordan 14s, which he won his last title in. And it's been 23 years. And not all the Jordans have been performance-based. I think at the Jordan 28, which is 9 years now, Jordan brand really made an emphasis to make their shoes performance-based for guys who are hooping on court. So a lot of the old heads who just want to wear Jordans for style maybe didn't like it as much as maybe some of the other ones, like the Jordan 23s, obviously the heritage to that, and some of the other cool models, they were trying to be more experimental. But the Jordan 37s, the heritage that this brand has brought, this is such an awesome shoe. I am glad I have 2 pairs, and it's almost one of those shoes I want to get another pair depending on the colorway. There's been some really good deals on like the Jason Tatum player edition versions and some of the first generation colorways, where even though it's a $185 shoe, one of my guys got it for $100. Now maybe it doesn't have it in your size, but for that price, for $100, that is the best shoe on the market. So something you may have noticed is the lack of Adidas shoes in this pipeline, the lack of Under Armour shoes. I'm trying to see what I have. The lack of Dwayne Wade, so Way of Wade shoes, and a lot of other brands are Puma, and that's because none of them are in my top 5. I don't think any other brand is making a max cushion shoe, or a shoe that actually supports someone who wants to play all the time, and having that cushion makes a huge difference. The Harden Volume 6 is amazing, but honestly plays just like the Harden Volume 3, which I really enjoy. That's not necessarily negative, but you have to get better. Like, you have to have something that makes it a better shoe than something that was 3 years prior to it. The Puma Mellow 2 played exactly like the Mellow 1, which has a really fun, lightweight cushion that has a little bit of bounce to it, but it's not better than anything on my top 5 that Nike or Jordan brand are doing. Now, I have not tried the Way of Wade. I've not tried Peak, and there's quite a few other brands I do want to put on that maybe will crack this top 5. And if you guys have any connections or want to send any shoes my way or share my contact, I would love to do more reviews out there. I don't have the Way of Wade brand. That's the only one I would say maybe would have as good cushion or better cushion than my top 5 here, but Nike and Jordan have done a great job of offering not only max cushion shoes, high cushion shoes, but having shoes that are still well balanced, like the KD15, where you're low to the court, but you still have some bounce and you still feel like you have court feel, but you're not giving up anything that's hard, but it's protecting your joints in your body. Or even working your way down to like the Del Don or the Zions, where you have something with really good cushion, but you can still spend spend less than $100. So it's not all about spending as much money as possible, really getting the best value. Guys, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns on some of these shoes and what works best for you, please feel free to DM me on Instagram, hit me up on Facebook, put your comments down below, and I'm happy to help however possible. This is Levi with Sneaker Gears. I really appreciate you guys, and I'll come at you later.